you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate, and the trial was in the Senate, nobody could convict you.
And in your choices as Donald Trump and Ted Cruz in a general election, it's the difference between poisoned or shot. You're still dead.
If he were to win the nomination, the Republican Party's nomination, what would be your estimate of his chances in the fall against a Democrat, any Democrat?
1 in 10.
You don't have any confidence in him basically to be commander-in-chief?
I think he's been just as wrong as Obama, if not worse. If a woman is raped in Ted Cruz's world, she's going to have to carry the baby of the rapist. I'm pro-life, but I won't go there. I think that's hard to sell with young women.
A good Republican would defend Ted Cruz after tonight. That ain't happening.
And the only person who'd do worse than Ted is Trump. Ted Cruz, at his core, is an opportunist when it comes to his political career. He has an ideological bent that won't sell with the American people.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has been a friend of this program and been a guest here several times. In about 5 minutes, so that may change, but we can hope this is not the case. We're saturated with the same insipid question from the same bubble-headed reporters and hosts. Why does Donald Trump resonate with the American people? And the empty-headed response, he tells it like it is and speaks his mind. All cliche all the time and never getting to the point. With all due respect to Senator Graham, his ballyhooed switch to support Ted Cruz for president merely exposes him as another not-so-crafty politician willing to do whatever it takes, when the time is right, of course, to stay relevant. Embarrassed out of the POTUS chase, minimized to the point of even being told by voters back home, we care less about anything you say or do than logic could possibly measure. He's desperate to stay in the limelight in order to spout his sometimes brilliant, oftentimes perfect for a late-night comedy routine commentary. A number of people tweeted at me, this is acceptable Washington politics. The dishwater-worn excuse, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, tripe. Bollocks. It's another example of the duplicitous fraud perpetrated by elected officials with not a shred of believable character and self-respect. Hand in hand with that lack of character is being caught red-handed in verbal acrobatics not even Flipper could have pulled off.
Let me start with a piece of sound on judges that you said over 10 years ago. Let me play it and get you to react on the other side.
The duties of the United States Senate are set forth in the Constitution of the United States. Nowhere in that document does it say the Senate has a duty to give presidential nominees a vote.
And yet, 11 years later, you wrote this. The Senate's constitutional duty to give a fair and timely hearing and a floor vote to the President's Supreme Court nominees has remained inviolable. I guess I'm confused. Which is it? What has changed from 2005, when you said there was nothing in the Constitution that said a vote, to 2016?
Oh, the look on Reed's face is worth the price of admission. You can see the rusty wheels of an old fraud beginning to turn and the pages being peeled back to scramble for something that sounds like an answer, but is in essence just a feeble attempt to waste time before the well-trained political mind begins to spit out nonsense.
We have always tried, and I've been part of that for many years, to get rid of obstruction. I don't believe in it.
Well, then what happened in 2005? I can quote you during the Miguel Estrada hearing. You said, there's no reason to mince words around here. We're not going to an up or down vote on Miguel Estrada. That's a form of obstruction back when President Bush was in office.
But remember, this man had a full hearing. It came to the Senate floor, and all we ask is that you worked in the White House. You wrote a lot of legal opinions. We're entitled to see them. That was reasonable.
Sure, it's always reasonable when you're the one digging as hard as you can to cover up your fraud. And to be fair, Chuck Todd followed that interview with one featuring Mitch McConnell, guilty of the same dribble. So here we have two of the most powerful men in America trying desperately to explain away their charges and countercharges that only work when it fits their purposes. They'll blow smoke or some other form of effluent at whatever rate necessary to cover their posterior and take zero responsibility for words and deeds. The only thing truly resonating with the American voter at this moment is the well-worn fatigue of being blustered at and fed a constant diet of backhanded blowhard. Politicians of every stripe have been playing American voters for fools. And to the credit of the politicians, there are plenty of Americans who not only like it, but perfectly fit the mold of fools. We've been believing all this doublespeak for so long, we fall for it immediately and go our merry way. Lindsey Graham now embraces the man he used as the butt of jokes and ridiculed at every turn. No big deal, he didn't mean it. Harry Reid, Mitch McConnell, double-speak their way out of being caught red-handed, making it up as they go along. No self-respect, no character. It's okay. They spit the propaganda we don't question because, oh wait, look, there's Donald Trump telling jokes. That one thing we all wish we could get from every politician: truth, responsibility, accountability. Stop shoveling the bovine excrement into our faces while we smile. Rock on, true believers. See you tomorrow night.